The land is our foundation, and land synergy is here to solidify and restore. Join us as we connect the dots of land restoration, sustainable practices, and self-sufficiency. It's time to get rooted.
Welcome back to Land Synergy, guys. Welcome. Now, something I wanted to talk about. This is a little different. This is more. We're talking about a plant here, and specifically the plant that we are talking about is poison ivy. Now, a couple of days ago, we was actually cutting down a 60-foot pine tree, and I spiked it, climbed it, and this tree we brought back to the homestead to process it down. Now the thing is, this tree was covered in poison ivy, specifically one thick, probably about a good maybe 6 to 8 inches wide at the root. Its root was at the base and it was growing up the spine of the tree, pretty much growing up it. And so from spiking it, the poison ivy has branches that sprout off the main root. And so I couldn't just spike and go all the way up because my lanyard, which is what you tie around the tree to secure your middle weight of your body so you can lean, I had to keep cutting it. So from this process, I usually don't ever have an issue with poison ivy. Like, usually it's like it's not too bad. Like, I can touch it, I can move it, but I feel like when you climb a 60-foot tree, like, you hold on to that tree for dear life. And of course I wasn't holding on to the tree, but there was points when I had to adjust myself and pull. And long story short, I got 2 thick rashes on my hands, my wrist specifically. And what this taught me specifically is that with poison ivy, I feel like if you're around this, that you have it on your homestead, maybe you're doing a contract or a project that involves poison ivy. One way that you can mitigate this is, of course, wear protective wear, but also try not to rub up against it. I feel like your hands will actually be the most safest, because with your hands, and of course maybe wear gloves if you're really allergic, but touching it is not the issue. From my personal experience, I feel the root, the oil that is at the base, because I've touched poison ivy thousands of times. I mean, I work with it, so many projects that we've done for some of our clients around that. And so what I learned from this process that I share with you guys is that the root, I don't want to say it's more powerful, but it seems like the oil of the poison ivy seems to be more pungent, because at the closer I got to the tree, see, most of the rash is actually on the wrist and it's not on the hands. And so that goes to tell me that when I was rubbing on it, that caused more of it, because see, I didn't have any gloves on, because like I said, I usually don't have any issues with poison ivy. So what we primarily want to share here as we continue to move forward is that you shouldn't demonize poison ivy. You should respect it, like you should respect a fallen tree. You're not going to stand there underneath the tree while it's falling. It's a heavy mass. I mean, powerful mass, and it should be respected. And with poison ivy, it's the same concept. At least from what I've seen, guys, poison ivy seems to be abundant around areas that have been cleared of woodland. So when, let's say you have woods and you cut out a big space of it, the vines seem to sprawl in from that. If you go into woodlands, you don't necessarily see poison ivy all around the woods. I mean, I barely see it. You might see it here and there. But the point is, poison ivy has an ecological purpose. Even though we don't fully understand it, it serves a purpose. The same way certain microbes that make up this being called you have a part in your whole ecology. So that's just some perspective, some practical tips. Be aware of rubbing, not rather touching, but rather rubbing, because that allows the oil to sit on the skin, whereas touching, you're simply picking it up. I feel like the oil like rubbing allows it to sit in it. So that's for anyone who does work around poison ivy or around their homestead and needs to maneuver with it. Theoretically speaking, poison ivy has a purpose, and next time you see it, try to understand the environment that it's being grown within. Try to understand if there's been any stressors around this environment recently, and if you're having issues with poison ivy, maybe identify the stressors instead of um, the top of the iceberg, so to speak. Get to the root of the issue. No pun intended. Get to the top. I mean, the root of the issue. If you cut down one poison ivy plant or root, if the stresses are still there, allowing for this, it's stimulating this pathway, then you need to get to the source of the issue. So, with that, guys, continue to keep synergizing, and until the next one, I'll talk to you soon.